David, not sure where to start, but look, we had Marwa Risky finally come out and make some public comments since the start of this whole debacle with the provincial Liberal Party. Pablo Rodriguez out doing, some work on the weekend at Tout le monde en parle. And I said this earlier, for everybody who's now had something to say, do we really know anything more than we did when this started?
Well, in terms of what is alleged, no. We simply have no facts. So it's a very strange crisis to manage for Pablo Rodriguez, and it's more about how he's managing this and it's his first test as Liberal leader. Today, we still got something. I mean, this front page story on the La Presse website yesterday saying that 10 or so Liberals who had supported other candidates than Pablo during the leadership race were asking for a leadership review in January. Well, today, those people have, albeit they're anonymous, again, no names, but they've made it known to different media outlets today that they were suspending their request to hold a leadership review. So that's one thing. Two, this is not a small thing. The fact that both Charles Milliard and Carl Blackburn both came out yesterday very clearly saying, let's calm down, people, and let's support our leader. And that's not a small thing.
Okay.
I think now on Tout le monde en parle yesterday, it's 800,000 Quebecers that watched this. Of course, mainly francophones, but all the pundits and everybody was watching this, including myself. And so the fact is that there are still things that I think Pablo Rodriguez should do very quickly and should have done last week. His show of force with all his caucus, minus, of course, the two that we know, on Friday, he could have come out very clearly saying with a statement signed by all MNAs, we've never dealt with brownies and we've never dealt with people that have dealt with brownies. And if we find out that we have people in our individual organizations that have done this, they're done. In crisis management, you have to be bold, you have to get ahead of the story, and you have to make, clear-cut major gestures that show that you will be, completely over and above the fray on anything that is raised by the crisis. Another thing that should be done, and I don't know why it hasn't been done, these texts, these unauthenticated text messages that, are the other piece of this thing. They're allegations that, also, and that's part of the Marwa Risky piece, that somehow there were expenses that were paid by the National Assembly that shouldn't have. Well, that's an easy thing to disprove. Just render public all the expense reports that have been submitted to the National Assembly since June when Pablo became leader of the Liberal Party. Same thing with Pablo's expense reports to the Liberal Party since he became leader. Why not just, I'm sure at this point, all the news outlets in Quebec, plus other people, have probably already made their access to information requests to the National Assembly to get them. So let's just put it out all in the open. Same thing with the president of the party, Rafael Ferraro, talking that in April there were allegations. Hey, put out everything that was said about that. Put out the meeting minutes, the emails, whatever was alleged, even though it was not substantiated, put it out there. Show that you are afraid of nothing. Right. Also yesterday, Pablo Rodriguez, and I'll end on this, just going back on, the Liberals are the party of vote for women, and we created the Révolution Tranquille, and we founded the Ministry of Education. You know what? That's not going to get you anywhere. That's a crutch for Liberal leaders when they go back on the history, the glorious past of the Liberal Party of Quebec. He missed a real great opportunity to show what the Liberals are about now, especially on the bread and butter issues that are still the priority of all Quebecers, right? It's still about affordability. It's still about healthcare. It's still about education. And so Pablo is going to have to, I think, really step his game up, because there are real questions now. It's not as much on what has happened, because again, there's going to be reports. There's it seems like there's lawyers involved and demand letters and cease and desists, and a former Superior Court judge is going to file a report, but he doesn't have subpoena power. This is not like the Saklik inquiry. So we'll see what happens with all that. But I think Pablo has to be much more forceful in the way he's trying to turn the pages.
I was going to ask you, David, I mean, do we attribute motive here somehow to why Marwa Risky decided to do this?
Look, Marwa Risky one day will have to explain clearly, because her statement raises more questions than it answered yesterday. And it was, again, very opportunistic, because if you look at the timing, Charles Milliard came out in support of Pablo Rodriguez, then Carl Blackburn, and just an hour or two before Pablo Rodriguez went on to Montreal Now, that's when we got the social media post statement from Marwa Risky saying, I have no political motives, and her writing that shows that she understands that everybody's saying, okay, why are you acting this way? On her end, there's a bunch of questions that are still not clear. Look, I've been a political staffer, an M&A, and the cabinet minister in Quebec City. And, when you have, if there was such a problem with a chief of staff, why not sit down with Pablo and talk about it?
Right, exactly.
That is, and Pablo has to answer questions also about, well, could you really not see that there was some smoke? Because apparently, it's not like something that happened a couple of days before all this broke. There seems to be tensions growing. So that's going to be the thing. But the other thing, the ethics issue about expenses, that's easy to disprove or prove. And so why not have an open conversation within the party first, and then if there are real ethics issues or legal issues, then move forward. So Marwa Risky is not coming out of this unscathed. I mean, as I said, there's some certain questions about how Pablo is managing this. There's no ethics issues on him, and you look, it's dying down unless we have some new facts. I mean, the media is moving on. We're going to have an economic update tomorrow. Jean-François Roberge has announced this afternoon that he's going to table a bill on prayer rooms in CEGEPs and universities. So here we go again on identity politics. Unions, as you talked about, are mounting a huge fight on several pieces of the legislation from the Legault government. So it seems that we're moving on unless something else breaks. But it's the lasting impact of the way Pablo Rodriguez managed this that may linger, and he has time. He has time to turn it around. And just by the way, also, he did win legitimately the leadership. I mean, the first ballot, he won outright. It was 39, 28, 27. He won with over 52% of the vote, and it wasn't even a vote. I shouldn't say vote. It was a very convoluted point system.
Right.
So he's clearly the leader. He has his caucus behind him. André Pratt came out for him. The sort of rebels have said, okay, we'll suspend. So he has room, but he has to step it up, I think, in the eyes of a lot of Quebecers.
So let me, before we run out of time, I want to get your take on a couple of things here. Yeah. Number one, they're not the only party to implode, it turns out. Vincent Marissal decided to walk from Quebec Solidaire, but I think that story is before he was pushed out of Quebec Solidaire. So real quick, what'd you make of that?
Well, I think Marissal is looking for a job. He looks at the polls. I mean, the thing is, Quebec Solidaire is saying imploded. It's already imploded. I mean, it's at 5-6% of the polls. If an election were held tomorrow, maybe they would hold on to 4 seats. Rosemont would probably flip PQ. So Vincent Marissal, who tried to be a federal Liberal candidate, who tried to drum up support for him to run for mayor, now went to Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, and Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon said, thanks, but no thanks for now. And so I think it's more about Marisal, picking he was squarely in the moderate camp with Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois. That's done. And I think it was just a question of time that I think he was, in fact, he was already pretty much set aside, so he saw the writing on the wall.
All right, last thing, out of nowhere, I'm hearing the story today, Soraya Martinez-Ferrata, first executive council meeting today. All of a sudden, boroughs are getting more money. She's decided that. She's freezing hiring at City Hall. Their developers now came out today and said, we're going to try to accommodate 25 homeless people in a new development. Hey, David, that's not a bad first week for a new mayor.
Not a bad first week, but all of this, I mean, if you give more money to the boroughs, that means less money for the central city. Because it's not like there's a lot, there's not enough already. So it was a promise. She's respecting her promise. And so that's good. But at the same time, in December, we're going to get a budget. And, the 2,500, this proposal means that, we're fast-tracking. That means, we're going to free up some city land for this, and that means that we're going to have to raise a lot of issues about who gets this, how much this is going to cost, because, infrastructure, et cetera, that's what's blocking Blue Bonnets right now. And so, yes, this is interesting. This is a decent beginning, but the budget, the thing is, Aaron, the money is simply not there.
Sure, we know that, right? Yeah.
So until we get a clear understanding of where the priorities are going to be taken, which priorities are going to be actually given money to, it's still up in the air for now.
Good start. We'll see where it goes. David, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great week.
You too.
Introducing Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
Join me for an insider look on a wild ride through 40 years of global rock and roll.
Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app. Or ask your smart speaker to play Bryan Adams Radio on iHeartRadio.
Who's ready to rock?
Everywhere I go, kids wanna rock.